All right, today we're going to talk about our assignment 2.1, and you can see the music up in front of us, which is ironic because that's not where we're actually going to start. We're going to start in Blackboard, and we're looking at 2.1, identify phrases, periods, motives, Roman numeral analysis, Bach, Minuet 2, from French Suite number 1, D minor, BWV 812, yada yada, Times New Roman font, instructions there on how to save it and submit it, right? Here's our piece. I have this link loaded up in the content folder. It's added in there. So go ahead, before we do any analysis, listen to the piece. Here's the end of Minuet 1. Here's Minuet 2. This little piece right in here, that's going to be a motive. You can see it here. You can see it here really clearly. It's definitely going to be a motive. Here it is again over here. You hear the end of that phrase, right? This is going to be a second phrase for sure. End of a phrase for sure. Repeat. Similar material, same material, right? Written a little differently than our example. This is just writing the repeat out. Yeah, for sure. Motive, motive. Hey, there's that motive again. Little development section, motive, right? Yeah, getting into the chromatics here. Definitely hear a lot of those C sharps, right? That's appropriate in D minor, right? Same thing with that B natural. That's, you're looking at a melodic minor instead of, harmonic or something like that. And you can hear like a little counterline. Let's pause it right there. You can hear that little counterline going through in there. You could think of that as a motive if you'd want. I definitely think that the quarter, dotted quarter, and then 16th notes is our primary motive. So let's go back over here to our piece and work through some of that. Okay, so yeah, great. So we've got some text box that we can enter some Roman numeral in, and we'll get there eventually. Why don't we do some easy things that make us feel really quickly getting some things knocked out. Let's add a text box, right? Just to give us a little key, click into there, go back up to home, and make it tiny so that it's going to be easy to read this, okay? And then we're going to type P equals phrase, PD equals period, and highlight equals motive, right? There we go. We don't need to add anything else really. So why don't we go over to draw, and we'll click draw, and we'll click highlight. So let's highlight this motive, right? And this is just a variation on it. It's pretty easy to see. Pitch class is different, rhythm's different, I mean marginally, but has the same function really. And it keeps coming back. This is throughout the whole piece. Really present motive, right? A lot of the other material is angle with the highlight. Look at that. Gotta love technology. A lot of the other material is really just accompaniment material, and it's a variation. So you see like this comes back here. You can see a similar outline, right? D to D to C, D to D to C, modified or whatever. But I don't know that you would raise that to a level of a motive. I like to think of it as just more accompaniment. So those are our motives, and there's more of them down here and that kind of thing. But why don't we go ahead and draw some other things in there and be like, hey, I know that phrase 1 starts here, right? Phrase 1, whoa, awesome, we've got it. Great, so, well, isn't this the same material again? Whoa, yes, absolutely it is. So this is phrase 2. At least that's phrase 2. You might argue about like having a half cadence in there. We haven't analyzed it yet, so there might be, there might not be, but I'm thinking that's phrase 2. Especially, that's how I heard it. You're thinking about this motivic idea going through, and then it pops back up here. So you got this like development a little bit to get you through this um, 5-chord, 5-1, you can see that. And there's phrase 2. So, I mean, if we follow that out, that's 2, 4, 6, 8 measures for a phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 measures for a phrase. I bet this is going to be phrase 3, right? Let's just pencil that in there. We can always delete, right? I mean, imagine. And then, when you scroll, it drops your draw. So click draw and then pick, colors. And you can get phrase 4 is going to be right here. That, oof. I mean, I'll take it. And then phrase 5. Oh, there it is. Great. Draw. And you can find phrase 5 as well. Notice that the tail end of this piece is really just the beginning again, right? So it's kind of cyclical that way. It really kind of ties it up nicely. So we've got some phrases, and we can be like, hey, let's add a period. Here's period, P, D. Oof, that's a rough D. 1, right? PD1, and you could add a little text box in there, and you could write that instead with a text box if you want it, which is, of course, insert, click on text box, draw a text box, and be like, double click in there, and go back here and write it tiny so you can actually read it. And it's like, period 1 ends at measure 16, right? Because it's there, right? 2 phrases, make a period, great. And then you can do that down here as well. And some definitions you're definitely going to want to review in our reading from Theoria and from Open Theory. So anyway, make sure you're looking at that. We can click in here, get, okay, let's check, make sure, Times New Roman. Let's get tiny, right? And we'll be like, 1. Yeah, right? That's all we really need there. Because then, if you want to get a little more involved, you could, of course, circle this C is a passing tone, right? D, C, B flat, passing tone, right? You could circle some of these too, but that's motive, so, I don't know how deep you want to go into that. I need the Roman numerals, the phrases, the periods, that kind of thing. If this helps you, definitely do it. If it doesn't, do what you will. So anyway, let's turn draw off and then click in here. And annoyingly, you have to reset the font every time and the sizes. I don't know, maybe one of you brilliant people out there could tell me how to get there, but and just make that the same all the time. But anyway, I see that as a 4. You got this G really prominent, G, B flat, D, and you got the B flat D up here and then B flat emphasized again. It is in a neighbor grouping a little bit, so you could look at it that way. But I like G and B flat, and then G again and B flat. I like to think of that as 4 minor. And we had to pull our text box out here so that we can see. So some of these you might have to resize. You got some other harmony going on right in here, right? It does shift, right? And there's other harmonies in here. Of course, you can see real clear. You got this C sharp here. And you got a G and an A, and we're in D minor, so that's 5, 7. Oh, and we got to change our font again, because for some reason it wants to do that. And I don't know, maybe there's some default font that you could put on. You should just put it in Times New Roman. It's way more professional, right? And again, Times New Roman, make it tiny, and that's 1, right? And then let's click back over here. What type of cadence is that, right? 5-1, 5-7-1. It's some type of authentic cadence. Could be inauthentic, could be perfect. Let's say it's inauthentic because, of course, do is not in the soprano, so not perfect. You just label it IAC. You could also write that right up in here. You can see where my mouse is clicking around right in there. You could write that right in there. So that's some of the basics of how I'm going to approach this. Notice, like I just skipped a bunch of stuff in here. Well, that's because I know that's where the phrase ends. This is all subordinate to the ending of the phrase and the beginning of the phrase. Let's find those things, find the motives, pull that out, and then, let's dig into the nitty-gritty in here. Maybe even listen to it a few more times, or even, go sit down at the keyboard hash some of this out. Some of you are going to be piano players and some of you aren't, whatever. But take a look at it, play what you can, and it will help you with your analysis. So looking at that, right? So anyway, our last instruction, let's fulfill our last instruction. Well, there's our video, here's Blackboard. Type into the text box, Roman numeral, we did that. Times New Roman, did that. Save the file, right? Okay, let's go up, save as, and add your last name. My last name's McCafferty. Yeah, I'm sharing the bill with Bach, right? And I hit save. I can just put it on my desktop, right? And clearly, this isn't done, so don't turn this in. If you just turn this in, that's definitely not going to be full credit. So you want to mark all the rest of the motives. You want to finish out the phrases. You want to get your other periods in here. You definitely want to finish your Roman numeral analysis with all the cadences and so forth. So anyway, I just wanted to go over some of the mechanics and how I look at analyzing something. Remember that music is aural. Listen to it. If you're starting to analyze a piece and you haven't listened to that piece yet, you're wrong. I mean, it's just that simple. You need to listen to it. Music is about sound first. The writing is second. The pictorial representation of sound is secondary to the sound of the music. Sound is primary. Really listen for it. Great. Catch you next time.